Today I'm going to be making a malted milk banana caramel upside down cake. Bananas are an excellent versatile fruit that plays well with a lot of things. It's excellent background flavor. It's not going to be up front. That little tropical note, caramelized, they're so lovely. They're great with chocolate. They're great with caramel. They're great with toffee. Whether it's in a pancake, a muffin, banana bread, or fancier things like banoffee pie or banana splits, versatile tropical bananas are fun to use, and I'm gonna do some today. When using bananas for baking, you want them to look pretty rough for wear, like they've had some hard times. You know, a little roughed up on the surface, browning, the starches are converting to sugars, making a nice sweet banana, while still having some yellow to preserve some of the banana flavor for the baked goods you're putting them in. Banana caramel in an upside down cake is an excellent base. When you flip this over, having a nice golden brown top is such a beautiful thing. All right, we're gonna go ahead and weigh up some bananas here. I'm using about 3 medium-large bananas. Get them on a cutting board and chop them into approximately 1/2-inch rounds while watching a few go careening off the cutting board, as round things are wont to do inevitably. Just half the fun, there goes another. Cutting them in 1/2-inch rounds, leaving them a little on the chunky side, is great because they're gonna cook down in the pan and you wanna have some banana left when you're done. Bananas are good. One of the most popular fruits in the world, maybe the most popular fruit in the world. I think apples are up there. I feel like it might be number 1. Without looking it up, I seem to remember it being number 1. Let's get our pan prepped. It's important to have something lining the bottom of this pan so when you turn it out, you don't have a sad, stuck caramel layer with bananas semi-clinging to the bottom of your pan. I'm just gonna establish one cut side on my parchment and start creasing it to match my container. Just trying to get it as clean as possible without, tearing my hair out in frustration, dealing with the crazy little slippery world that is parchment paper. Just the nature of the beast and things like this. For our caramel layer in a small saucepan, let's measure out some butter and some brown sugar. This is just a quick, simple caramel. Basically, you're gonna do it over a medium-low heat until the fat combines with the sugar and it's dissolved into a mostly homogeneous mass. Go ahead and just keep it moving. Try not to have any hot spots. Again, on a medium, it shouldn't burn, but you never know. So go ahead and just keep it going. Once the butter seems to be almost entirely melted in, go ahead and spatula into our baking vessel, while importantly restraining the urge to put one's finger in it and taste this. This is one we all have to learn the hard way at some point, so I've done it. It's lava. It hurts a lot. It's lava. You'll want to spend a minute or so spreading this out with your spatula before a thought crosses your mind and a little voice says, "Hey, an offset spatula is a way better tool for smoothing things out in a low pan. It's angled. Use that. Work it into the corners. Just keep going." Thank you, little voice that told me what to do. I appreciate you. Once we get it all smoothed out to your liking, start organizing the bananas into a fun little geometric pattern. You can totally do a fan pattern if you're using thinner slices with something like this, but I'm just doing a simpler one with a chunky banana shape, and it's quite pleasing too to just have them all lined up like, well, I don't know. I don't want to say stars on a flag, but it does kind of look like that to me. Once you get it all assembled, go ahead and set it aside so we can work on our cake layer. With the scale, we're gonna measure out some all-purpose flour, some malt powder. You can get this online or at specialty food stores. Really brings back the nostalgic flavor of a malted milkshake. Something you might get at a diner or a drive-in. We still have a couple of these where I live in northern Michigan. Into the bowl, we can add our baking powder and our salt to bring it to life. Whenever I see a cake recipe that doesn't call for salt, I take a pen and I write salt in the recipe because it's so important. Grab a whisk and combine these ingredients. By doing this ahead of time, we're ready to add them to our creamed ingredients if we need to, if any splitting occurs. Into the bowl of a stand mixer, I measured out our softened butter. It's always good to be prepared for splitting just in case. Sugar added to the butter now. This can totally be done by hand or with a hand mixer if you're strapped for it, but I like using the stand mixer. When you want to do some multitasking, it's so awesome just to be able to walk away, you know, while kind of keeping an eye on things. Go ahead and hook up your paddle attachment, start beating this on low to bring it together, and increasing the speed once it starts coming together, just making sure things aren't being flung out like crazy. Once it starts beating and creaming, go ahead and scrape down your bowl. Doing this periodically makes such a big difference in creating a nice homogeneous mixture. Adding your eggs one at a time while again taking some time to make sure it's coming together. I see a little bit of curdling starting here, so I'm going to start adding a little bit of our flour mixture just in little bits with the spatula as I go so we can help bring it together. This is an awesome trick, great hack, and I recommend it everyone. Proceeding forward, adding the rest of your dry ingredients, creaming it together till it's a nice smooth mixture. Go ahead and scrape off your spatula, your paddle attachment, and I like to finish the last bit by hand, just making sure there's no hidden flour, especially in the bottom. The bottom is where things like to get pressed down, and by hand is a great way to make sure it's not. Splat that into your baking dish. I'm using an 8x10 in this case. Just gonna go ahead and start spreading this out with our offset spatula, not even trying to use the silicone spatula this time. Working it into the corners as best you can. This is always gonna have a bit of a rise in the middle with a square vessel, and it's just the nature of the beast, so get it as level as possible, but know that it's gonna come out a little bit artisan, as all home baked goods should. And building projects. When I look at things I've created, they have little wonky touches, it looks so much nicer. When things are perfect, it's just boring and plastic. Give it character. Bake this in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes until golden brown on top. Flip it out, cut it up, and try to wait a few seconds before putting it in your mouth if you can. You know, the blowing technique from childhood still works as an adult, and I, didn't burn myself, right? Right? Okay, damn it, I did. Sticky caramel, banana. Subtle malt flavor in the background. Pretty good. Like they've seen better days. Starting to brown up, the sugars are being